Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's Thought Leadership piece. It's a mini webinar on the 5 ways districts see cost savings and increased efficiency through online enrollment and registration. My name is Noel Johnson. I'm from InfoSnap, and I'll be your presenter. So let's go ahead and get started. Two common goals that school districts aim to achieve always are increasing efficiency and reducing costs. And analyzing your school district's business processes is a great place to start to accomplish these objectives. So, do you currently have budget allocated for funds or paper-based student registration? Well, if you don't, I guarantee you that this is an inefficient process. It's a drain on money, time, and resources, and we'll take a look at some of those specific applications in which this is the case. As we all know, student registration is a multi-step process. School administrators generate a multitude of forms, and they need to collect information such as demographic data, emergency contact information, signatures on policies and agreements, medical information, medical history on students, athletic information and participation information, and much more. Then, families are required to fill out this large packet of paper forms for each child that's enrolled in the district, and once the forms are returned to the school, administrators are then tasked with inputting the data into the district's student information system, and it all becomes a very labor-intensive process for everyone involved, and ultimately using valuable resources that could have been funneled out of administration and back into education. So first, let's take a look at how eliminating cost simply associated with that paper system and process that you may currently use can increase efficiency and savings. As you know, the online student registration system will replace the paper system. And the average number of forms distributed to families every year is often 20 pages per student and often rising to over 40 pages. When you factor in the cost of paper, of toner, of postage, that cost of registration steadily rises, and districts often even have to hire temps during the registration season, as well as allocating overtime for administrative staff. Now, this isn't to say you're going to eliminate jobs necessarily, but you're going to allow this staff to spend more time with families, be more engaged with families, rather than dealing with matters around administration. One example is Mooresville Graded School District in North Carolina, who quickly realized a cost savings in human resources alone of $30,000, and they recognize that every year since having launched their online student registration system. Another example is Horry County in South Carolina, who saves an average of $14,000 a year on simply postage alone. And evaluating their expenses for a paper-based student registration system allowed them to see where funds were going and provided insight on determining where there are opportunities to save money and improve efficiencies. So it's important to take yourselves through that process. In Frisco, they did that math, and they found out they currently save over $70,000 every single year that was attributed to supplies and labor of that paper registration process. Next, let's take a look at how obtaining information before the school year, obtaining information about your students, is critical to be able to have the resources allocated on the first day of school. So when schools know their new and returning student enrollment prior to the beginning of the school year, staff have that accurate information and administrators have that accurate information on hand, accommodating student requirements. For example, in an online system, you may receive alerts on a micro level. You'll know what students are coming in, what special needs they may require, and you're able to allocate funds appropriately for that. On a more micro level, you know how many students you have coming in total. You're able to allocate for resources such as transportation, special programs such as ESL or IDP, and you're able to account for the right human resources that you need to fulfill meeting those requirements. Do you need to hire new people, or do you need to allocate resources in a different way and spread those people across a number of different departments? This is all known before school starts, allowing your district to be prepared, be more efficient, and be ready to service your students on day one. With a paper process, you're not going to experience this seamless transition. You're going to have to eliminate the alerts up front on a micro level where individuals are receiving call-outs about students that may be coming. And on a macro level, you're just going to leave yourself with a bunch of questions. How many staff do I need? What type of transportation do I need to provide? And how many students do I have involved in ESL or IDP programs? However, one example after implementing an online registration solution is Fair Park City Schools in Ohio. They wanted an innovative solution, and for this particular district, it was imperative to accommodate for students who registered and noted that English was not their second language. The appropriate people received alert. They were able to allocate resources and funds to that need, and then they noticed, look, it's time for us to hire some additional staff. We need some ESL teachers involved. They were able to take care of that. Now, prior to the first day of school, all schools are equipped with the proper staff, allowing them to effectively and efficiently serve their student population. A third example is collecting and managing school-related payments up front and during the time of registration. Let's take a look at that. We all know it's an arduous task to manage and keep track of payments received. You may be collecting payments throughout the year for yearbooks, for parking passes, for athletic or sports activities. You may be looking for volunteers or for boosters and more. This process, going through paper, going to the school, maybe going back up to the district, generating the reports, and then getting those reports back to the appropriate departments is an absolute nightmare. It's prone to error, and it's costly and labor intensiveness. And there's got to be a better way to do it, right? Well, through this online process and a payment management system, you're able to automatically allocate those funds, either wholly or partially, to the appropriate account. Then organizations or departments receive those funds and are able to report on those monies in real time. One example is San Marino Unified School District in California. They use a payment management system, and the district actually achieved in their first year a 96% utilization rate of that upfront online payment management system through families. And in addition to that, they have a volunteer and a donation section for PTA, PTO organizations and certain boosters. They doubled that number, increasing it by 100%. Next, let's take a look at how securely uploading documents using a document management process that will eventually lead to an EQ folder is a great way to save in efficiency and cost. Document management, as we know, is another time-consuming task. It's when it's associated with paper-based student registration. Collecting information, making sure that a secure online solution which can facilitate this in a cost-effective way to collect and store these vital documents will remove this process. In this process, we're collecting data from families, we're collecting the documents via paper forms, it could be transportation, it could be birth certificates or proof of residency. And all along, we're collecting this data from students. We're pushing it into a paper-based file system and folder, taking that information, and then plugging it somewhere else. However, transitioning from that into a document scanning and e-incubement folder not only decreases cost, it also increases security of that student's information and eliminates a lot of inefficiencies within the process. DeSoto County School District in northern Mississippi is one example of this. They have thousands of families who need to complete online registration, and they have a number of required documents, as we mentioned before, proof of residency, birth certificates, health and immunization records, that they're able to collect up front from families. And, you know, in some cases we recognize that the documents you want to see, you still like to see those in person, but that doesn't diminish the efficiency and savings that you're going to achieve through this. Staff will still see the benefit of more easily digitizing this content, managing those documents, and putting them into an EQ folder, eliminating that process necessity for the file-based system, having files, having papers, unsecurely stored in a file cabinet that could be damaged or ruined. In DeSoto, we saw which has to manage 5,000 new applicants each year and update that information into their student information system, and off that build an EQ folder, they're able to have achieved this by the first day of school. Efficiently addressing the compliance requirements and also eliminating the paper documents associated with registration. Finally, Improving compliance of mandatory reporting, being more efficient about the way you collect this data and information, and also more efficient in the way you're able to access it in real time and report it back to the appropriate either department or state level initiatives. So there's a number of different ways. You've got a paper form to collect information. You've got information coming in different standards. It's not going to be standardized. It's not going to go directly into your system, and you need to report on that. If it's not standardized, how are you reporting back to either your athletics programs, your support and IEPs, or that free and reduced lunch program that's going to receive you state funding? How long does this take in order to get everything cleaned up, processed into a database, and put in a place where people can actually build the reports they need to get access to? 6 to 8 weeks up front, maybe 2 weeks in the middle for data cleaning and polishing, maybe 2 to 4 weeks to be able to find the appropriate places to pull those reports. And in some instances, this isn't always stored in your student information system. So you need to implement a system that's going to allow for storing that information within itself. It's going to provide you with that data polishing up front. It's going to allow you to immediately be able to pull those reports for IEPs, for free and reduced lunch, for different programs you have listed at your school, and you're going to be able to accomplish that within weeks' time rather than within months, 10 or 12 weeks' time. Paper-based implementation doesn't do this for you. It's time to move to an online student registration system. One example here we have is Horry County Schools. They have the ability to access standardized data that they need for state reporting within minutes using their online registration system. They're able to have this amount of standardized data. They're able to quickly generate reports. When they look back at their submissions, they're able to track these documents and send reminders to families who may be missing items, all in a much more streamlined process. At Frisco, they're able to transform jobs of staff members. They're able to save time and labor and reporting on athletics, transportation, health office information, and business office. And they're also able to minimize data entry across all of their departments. Decreasing costs and increasing efficiency are absolutely attainable goals for every school district. And implementing an online student registration solution not only will achieve these two goals, but will also provide value to an entire school community. Families, registration staff, administration staff, and many departments across your district will all benefit from implementing an online registration solution. And that concludes our thought leadership piece for today, a webinar on the 5 ways districts see cost savings and increased efficiency through online enrollment and registration. If you'd like to learn more, please visit the InfoSnap website or contact us via email or phone. Thanks for your time and have a great day.